Hello everyone, welcome to the official devlog for Piper. Recently, my team, Freshman Do, consisting of Megan, Yue Yang, Seth and myself Kenneth from DigiPen Institute of Technology Singapore, worked together as part of our freshman milestone project to create Piper. Piper is a 2D rhythm-based aesthetic narrative experience where you have to play music to save the villagers from the rat vermin as you progress through a plague town. As a team, we went through many design iterations and adopted a few techniques to streamline our development pipeline. This video aims to touch on some of them. Without further ado, let's get into it. As you could probably tell, this game was based off of the age-old fairy tale of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. In Piper, you play as a talented musician who starts off living in the town slums. One day, you realize that whenever you play your instrument, your music attracts some dancing rats to follow you. Your goal is to lead these rats out of the streets and into the royal palace to overthrow the corrupt king, while helping villagers along the way by playing your music for them in a fixed sequence. The original concept was to create an experience based around music and creative expression in order to tell a story. However, most music games in the market were heavy rhythm-based games with bright flashing lights and feedback overload. One game, however, stood out to us, and that was Wondersong. We were really inspired by how Wondersong managed to create an immersive narrative experience while allowing the player to play music as and when they wanted. We started by drafting out the entire game flow using placeholders. By defining the constraints, we were better able to visualize the project and gauge the feel of the experience without putting too much time into it. We got the basic mechanics down and the player could get from point A to B by playing some sounds. We wanted to follow a similar kind of model and adopted a radio UI for the instrument control. However, the main difference was that, as compared to the free-roaming nature of Wondersong, we made it such that Piper only walks when the player plays the instrument. This way, it was the player's music that unfolded the narrative. I started working on a system that uses procedural animations to make the character walk. While Seth went to work on the UI and music, Megan on the character assets, and YY on the environment assets. The way I made the character walk on its own was by rigging it up using skeletal joints and inverse kinematics. I then created a few scripts which controlled the character's feet in order to make them follow along the main body by interpolating over Y curves to simulate walking. Using procedural animations alleviated the animation workload for the future and also provided me as a designer the ability to control the speed in which the character was moving and look more natural. On Seth's end, he composed a custom soundtrack and integrated the musical notes for our instrument. He went with a medieval flute as it was the most fitting to the theme, and used the pentatonic C major scale in order to capitalize on its flexibility. This way, no matter what the player played, the music would not sound that dissonant and off-putting. He also then created the radio UI, heads-up display, pause menu, and implemented their basic functionality in Unity. On the art side, Megan designed the whole village of wacky characters, which created a diverse array of citizens, all inspired by a medieval theme. This way, we could ensure that every encounter was a story to be told on its own, as each character and their strange behavior adds additional life to the experience and integrates some level of humor or sense of melancholy into the world. I also then worked closely with Megan, who animated all of the characters with the 2D skeletal rig pipeline, similar to the main character. YY designed the village itself and used the staging of the level to physically integrate the story into the game. As you progress through the game, the player travels from the grimy green of the slums, where everyone is struggling to survive from the rat infestation, to the chaotic orange town where people are lynching suspects who they believe are the cause of the plague, and finally to the glamorous cozy pink of the castle grounds, where there are no rats around, in which the corrupted king resides. In order to create this, we used Unity's inbuilt universal rendering pipeline and its 2D lighting system. However, things started to take a turn for the worse. During our beta submission, players felt that the game was unengaging and they mostly played terrible music with the virtual instrument. We decided to take a major step back and to review our core design. We realized that the reason the game wasn't fun was because, unlike Wondersong, a game where sounds function as an ability system, in our game, the entire progression was based on music. We provided a bit more player agency by allowing the player to unlock new instruments as they progressed through the level. This provided them a whole different set of musical notes with different textures to toy with, created by Seth, our music and sound lead. The players could then pick and choose whatever instrument they wanted to play with. By combining these sounds together, players had the implicit freedom to create different musical sequences as and when they wanted. To top it off, we added a series of different types of rats that would spawn whenever the player played a particular instrument as a form of a positive reinforcement. The flute rewarded a typical rat that squeaked after the player successfully played 6 notes in a row. The French horn rewarded a large beefy rat that burped, and the saxophone rewarded a white rat which played its own pipe. This implementation also found players trying to design their own rat army however they wanted. As trivial as this mechanic might seem, it made the player feel as though they were not forced through the experience and had some form of control over their actions. So, there you have it. The entire devlog for my freshman project. Piper was most definitely an eye-opening experience for me as an aspiring game developer, and I learned how to more practically apply game design theories on my projects. There's a lot more that I can go into, such as perhaps a proper tutorial on how to make your own character walk on its own in the future. I hope that for now you at least enjoyed the video and learned something from me. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you guys next time.